Today, we are cracking open Brad Stone's fantastic book, The Everything Store. But we're not just going to give you a summary. Nope. We're going to pull out the core playbook that turned Amazon into the giant it is today. So if you're in procurement trying to manage suppliers, or you're in supply chain obsessed with logistics, or maybe you're in marketing trying to win over customers, these are the lessons you can literally start using tomorrow. Let's get into it.
I mean, it's the billion-dollar question, right? How on earth does a company that started in a garage selling books become this massive force that has completely changed how we all shop? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't a magic trick, and it definitely wasn't just luck. It was a repeatable, scalable, and, let's be honest, sometimes ruthless playbook.
The secret really lies in a framework of 5 core principles that are all connected. And you should think of these less like some cheesy motivational posters on a wall and more like the actual operating system that powers every single decision they make, from a multi-billion-dollar deal all the way down to how they arrange boxes in a warehouse.
And here they are. See how it all starts with the customer and just flows from there? Customer obsession. That drives them to innovate relentlessly. That innovation is then fueled by extreme efficiency and guided by the fact that data is king. And the whole thing is held together by a culture of high standards. This isn't just a list, you guys, it's a flywheel. This is our roadmap for the next few minutes.
Okay, so let's start with the big one. The principle Amazon is most famous for, the one that is truly their North Star, customer obsession. Everything else we're going to talk about today begins right here.
Now, pay close attention to the wording here. It's not just about listening to your customers. It's about starting with what they need, both the things they tell you about and, maybe more importantly, the things they don't even know they need yet, and then working backward from there to invent a solution. It's a huge shift from asking, what are we good at, to what does our customer really truly need from us?
And this is how it actually works in the real world. For you marketers, it's not just about sending out surveys. It's about building a real voice of the customer program that actually influences what you build next. For the supply chain folks, it means every single logistics choice is made with the customer's delivery experience in mind. Think about it. Easy tracking, simple returns, that's gold. And for procurement, when you're buying new software, the number one question isn't just the price, it's how will this impact the end user experience for our own people? See, it's obsession at every single level.
All right, let's move on to the second pillar and see how this all connects. Relentless innovation. If customer obsession is the destination, well, innovation is the engine that gets you there. The key phrase here, the one you really need to hear, is the second half, viewing failure as a necessary cost. Amazon would not have the powerhouse that is Amazon Web Services or the game-changing Kindle if they were terrified of failing. I mean, they lost hundreds of millions of dollars on the Fire Phone, but the lessons they learned from that flop were priceless. They make huge calculated bets knowing full well that some will fail spectacularly, but the ones that hit will change the entire game. So how do you do this without, betting the entire company? Well, in supply chain, you run small-scale pilot programs. Test out that new automation in one corner of the warehouse before you spend a fortune rolling it out everywhere. For marketing, you formally set aside a piece of your budget, maybe 10%, just for experiments that might not work. And for procurement, you've got to actively look for and build relationships with those scrappy, innovative startups, not just the big, slow-moving giants. Okay, on to lesson 3. This is the operational backbone that makes the first 2 ideas even possible: extreme efficiency.
This is Amazon's famous frugality principle in action. The book is filled with stories about this, like how they used actual doors as desks in the early days. It's all about squeezing every last cent of waste out of every single process. This obsession is what allows them to offer the low prices and crazy fast shipping that we all now just expect. It's the gritty, unglamorous, but absolutely vital engine room of the everything store.
And you can see how different teams make this happen. Procurement teams don't just look at the upfront price. They use a total cost of ownership model to find all those hidden costs down the line. Supply chain is constantly using data to optimize routes and warehouse layouts, shaving off seconds that add up to millions of dollars. And marketing? They automate every repetitive task they possibly can, which frees up their people to do the smart, strategic work. Let's move to the fourth pillar. This is the one that governs every single argument and every decision at Amazon. Data is king.
So get this. At Amazon, your opinion, your gut feeling, even how long you've been at the company, none of it matters if you can't back it up with data. This is a huge cultural shift for most places. Every meeting, every new idea, it's all built on a foundation of hard numbers. The highest paid person's opinion doesn't automatically win. The data does. This quote, which you can apparently see on posters inside Amazon, just says it all, doesn't it? It's a blunt, powerful reminder that just assuming things is the enemy. The data, and only the data, is what tells the truth.
So for your teams, this means embracing stuff like A/B testing in marketing for everything, from subject lines to button colors. Let your customers vote with their clicks. For procurement, it means building objective supplier scorecards based on real KPIs, which takes all the guesswork out of managing vendors. And for supply chain, it's about using predictive analytics to forecast demand, instead of just looking at what you sold last year and hoping for the best.
And that brings us to our final pillar. This is the one that ties everything together, and honestly, it can be the toughest one to get right. A culture of high standards.
Look, Amazon's culture is famously intense, but that intensity comes from this core idea. High standards are contagious. The expectation is that everyone is always looking for ways to improve, to raise the bar. What that means is a report that was considered great last quarter is probably just good this quarter. The standard is always moving up.
So how do you actually build this kind of culture? One of the most powerful tools is the postmortem. After every single project, win or lose, the team gets together and rigorously analyzes what happened, what went right, what went wrong, and what they learned. And this is key. It's done without blame. And for leaders, your job is to be incredibly specific about what excellence looks like. You can't have high standards if your team doesn't even know what the target is. You have to show them what great looks like with actual examples. And this whole thing is wrapped up in what Jeff Bezos calls the Day One philosophy. It's basically their secret weapon against getting lazy and complacent. The idea is that it's always day one. You're always the scrappy underdog, you're always fighting for your customers, and you're always trying to avoid the bureaucracy and slowness of a big, established day two company.
So, as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this question to take back to your team. If you were to really, truly adopt that day one mindset, that startup energy and total customer obsession, what's the single most important thing you'd focus on tomorrow morning? What is your team's day one priority?